So what I will be covering for you is that the type of student who might need to use clearing, why would you use it? And that was a really good example, actually. What Dr. Ali has shared with you is quite an unusual thing. Because university clearing is just an alternative route to get into university. It's not for a specific type of learner. So, some people might apply beforehand, get their offers, get their results, the offer gets in exactly the right results, and that's it, you go through. Clearing is just an alternative route, and it's a really, really important route. So most people don't realize that clearing actually opens in July. So we're well into it now. It would have been open by now for 5 weeks. And courses get taken up, and as they close, as in close all the vacancies, then that's it. So it's on a first come, first served basis. And that is why it's critical to be ready and work really, really fast. Because as places go, those courses close up. So it's important that on the day of your results, you're ready, no distraction, you've got people possibly helping you, you've got a good Wi-Fi connection, and you've got a phone next to you. So, who might you be? You could be either a student who didn't get the grades, so you've got an offer from a university, you didn't make the grades. Or you've got grades, but you haven't got an offer from a university. Or, just like Dr. Ali, which is quite unusual, but it's really, really important, you've changed your mind. So you want to do something different. And then you can use clearing as your route in. So you've got good grades, but what you'd applied for is not the thing you still want to do. So you've changed your mind, which is perfectly fine, of course. Or you might just want to change the university. So you've got an offer, you've got your grades, but you've got better grades, and you want to have a go at going to another university for whatever choice, whether it's local, whether it's better reputation, it's a nicer city, doesn't matter what, but that's your choice, of course. Feel free to stop me, as well, by the way. So, first of all, you need to sort of, before Thursday, if you are in that category, you need to have a short list of the kind of universities you want to be looking at and the kind of courses you want to be looking at. Because the choice is it's phenomenal, it's thousands. But of course, that's not what you're looking at. What you're looking at is a specific number of universities, specific number of courses. So I'd look at those and check if they've got availability. If they have, then they are in the clearing. If they haven't, they're not in the clearing. Once you've got your grades, then you're making a choice. If you've got an offer, you've got the grades. If they are the same, so they've made you an offer, you've got all of those grades, then you can go straight in. However, you might decide that is not what you want to do. So you might decide you want to change the course, you might want to change university, you might not have got the grades. So if you haven't got the grades, but you still want that course, then the first thing to do is to contact the university and say, look, I'm still committed, and really sell yourself. I'm still committed, I'm really, really passionate, but I didn't quite get the grades I'd been offered. And see if you can convince them to still offer you that place. Remember, it's always in the university's interest to offer you the place rather than somebody else, because they would have already interviewed you, they would have already considered you, they know what you're capable of, mostly. They would have had a reference for you, as opposed to somebody who's coming cold to them. So that is a possibility. It's not an on-off. If you don't get the grade, still contact them and do a sales pitch. Do you understand what I mean when I say a sales pitch? So really sell yourself. Tell them how good you are. Tell them how passionate you are. Tell them how committed you are. And, be prepared if they ask you, well, why didn't you get the grades? Well, be prepared to talk about, difficulties during the examination period. Of course, we've had COVID, so, that's perfectly reasonable sometimes for people not to get the grades, because that would probably be your easiest route in. That said, there will be a lot of other universities and thousands of places available. So generally, the rule of thumb is if you want to get into university, you will get into university. It's just which one on which course. So that's what I've just covered. Can I just see a show of hands for those of you who are going through the process, not people who are here to learn ahead of the process? How many of you are aware of UCAS track? Great. So that is your path. So you accept through that, you decline through that, and I know Dr. Jafar will talk to you through that from the university perspective as a director of programs. And that is your path. So unless you release something, so once you've got an offer through clearing, where you contact them, go to their website, then normally is a preference, either a phone call or an email or a chat on the website. Whichever is their preferred method, use it. Don't use an alternative, because their preferred method will have more people on it. So for example, if they're saying we prefer you to use the chat function, that means they've got more people dealing with the chat at the university end. Don't ring them, even if there is a phone number, because that means there might only be 1 or 2 people. But there could be 12 people just dealing with the chat on the system. If they say we prefer an email, do an email. If they haven't said, do all of them. Because time is of the essence. So once you've got a place, so suppose they've got 7 places on a specific course. Well, once these 7 places have gone, then that's it, it's no longer available. So in essence, the earlier you make that contact, the better. And then the other thing to remember is you've got to release somewhere before you can accept somewhere. Is that correct? Yeah. And that way it's official and it's confirmed in your name. So even when the university tell you, yes, we can take you, unless you go through the UCAS track route, you release the place that is being held up for you and you accept that, then it's not confirmed. And the university could be saying that to a lot of people. And whoever is doing the process first will get that place. Right. This is the process. I won't talk you through that because you'll forget. But essentially, that's what you need to do. So add the university to your clearing. It's giving you the steps 1 to 5, which is what you need to do once the university said, yes, I can take you on this course. So suppose you're Dr. Ali all those years ago, and you've decided to do genetics, but you hadn't applied for it. Once they've offered you that place, these are the steps you need to go through to be able to take that through UCAS and release whatever offer you'd had. Something you might want to consider, and you've got 4 days for that, which is more than ample time. And that is, if you've decided to change course, so suppose you'd applied for, I don't know, optometry, and now you want to do genetics, then I would attempt to do 2 or 3 paragraphs of what is it that interests you in genetics, and what is it that got you to change your mind. Because these are the kind of things that course directors would be interested in. So suppose there, 2 people have applied to them and they've got 1 place through clearing. And one of them is clear why they want to do this course. And the other one is just say, well, it's a vacancy and I want to have it. Then the chances are the course director will opt for the student who's got a good reason why. And any reason is a good reason. Any reason is better than nothing. So just try and put down on paper some thoughts, because when they ask you, they won't ask you to send it to them necessarily. I don't know, Dr. Jafar will explain. But once you've written them down, they'll be in your head. So when they ask you, well, why do you want to do genetics? Or why do you want to do optometry? Or why do you want to do whatever? Or why do you want to do art? Then you will be much more articulate because you've given it some thought. You've put some thought on paper. Now, when I talk about paper, it could be typed up, of course, but essentially, you're not thinking about the answer when you get asked. You would have thought about that between now and then. And it's much better to have 4 days than a minute. Because essentially when they ask you, the longest you can go quiet on a phone call is a minute. A minute is a very long time actually on the phone. But if you've given it thought between now and then, you would have had 4 days to consider why research, why this university, why this course, why have you changed your mind, which is perfectly reasonable, and especially.
Now, this is an example of an application, and you can see that, well, quite an important piece of information is missing here. So if I see this application, basically what I'm going to do, most likely I will neglect it for the time being, unless the applicants call and say, okay, this is my application, and why no one responded to that application, or I haven't received any email or confirmation even that the application was received. Otherwise, most likely, this wouldn't go ahead, although they got perhaps what is needed for this particular course. So when you fill in any application, and by application does mean the application that you fill not on UCAS, for the particular university that you want to apply for their clearing, just follow the steps as was advised. Fill in whatever information that is required from you. And if they, as Dr. Ali said, if they say, okay, call us, call them. I don't think they ask usually that you have to call. A lot of time the call is just for confirmation and just to make sure that your application is not missed. Because what will happen that at the beginning in the morning, we receive a lot of applications, so there is a very high number of applications that we do to see very early in the morning, just around 9 a.m. And of course, although we have a lot of staff, I'm talking about my university, but I think this is something general that happens everywhere. So what will happen is, because we have a lot of applications, maybe you want to call just to make sure that your application is looked at, okay? And they don't leave it for later on. By the way, this, whatever I'm saying here, I should have said that at the beginning, is on my purely personal capacity. I'm not representing any university here, or I'm trying to promote a particular university. But this is based on my experience and what we have done in the past. Now, let me tell you a couple of more practical things. I think this year, I don't know if it's a good thing to say or not, but maybe this year the clearing process will be tougher. Because most of, I think, universities, or a lot of them, they have already got what they need. There is a very funny thing that happened in the recent years. For some reason, the people who were born around 99, 2000, 2001, we have like a decline in the number of babies at those years. Maybe people were scared to have babies around the millennium. They said, okay, let's wait and see whether we pass it or not, and then we think about having a child. But now we see that we have more applicants this year, and I think even the year before. So you need to be more agile. This is my advice to you. You have to have a very clear plan what you want to apply for. Universities, I don't know if you know that or not. So we have seen your results already. So we know your results. So if you have applied for a particular university and it was conditional, they know that whether you got your results or not. Of course, because of legal aspects, they are not going to disclose this with you. But you should expect that you receive an email 8 a.m. in the morning, say, okay, you have already accepted me in this course. So make sure that you keep an eye on your emails early in the morning before you make any decision. As I said, because the universities already, they know your results and they have taken action on that. And as Dr. Ali says, the clearing process has been already started. Yeah, the result in Scotland, they already published. When was that? I think it was 9th of August, if I'm not wrong. So for the applicants coming from Scotland, that has been already dealt with. But the majority of students are from England anyway. But a lot of places already has been filled, okay? Because the universities, they know who are the people that they got the conditional. Of course, always universities, they have to accept more students, because even those that they got the places, maybe they decide last minute to go somewhere else. I mean, even not last minute. You know, you have the possibility to change course even till 18th of October. So the whole process can last till that time. So it's not something that will finish. Now, the only thing is, in the morning of 18th, you are competing with other fellow students just for particular courses that you know they are limited. And as you know, some universities, even they don't offer clearing. I even checked it recently. So I think Imperial College, officially, they said that there is no clearing. UCL, they said, is very unlikely that they do it. I wouldn't expect that they do any clearing, but you have to check it on that time. And usually Oxford and Cambridge, they don't go through that clearing process anyway. At least these are for universities here. I'm not sure about university in Scotland or somewhere else, but you can check that, okay? Now, do you have any brave soul here to ask a question, to see really whether what we are saying here is of any use, or this is what you already know? Anything that you want to know about it? Oh, Dr. Ali wants to go through the process again.
This is new information for me about the clearing process that started in July.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know this. But if it started in July and you don't have your results, what is the point of it?
You don't have the results?
Yeah, I don't,
oh, yeah,
I
because,
don't have my A-level.
because, you know, A-level is not the only qualification. Actually, I have a very long document here just to tell you what are the different qualifications. And I'm sure you don't want to see all of this, but you know there are pages of different qualifications that we accept them. The majority of students, they have A-levels. Doesn't mean that this is the only one. For instance, international students, they have totally different type of qualifications, and they have their results. The students coming from Europe, although we don't have many of them coming now, but in the past, because we have a lot of European students coming here, all of them, they have their results already, and they can go through that process. Remember, clearing process is not only for those with A-levels, and let alone the students from Scotland, because they got I don't know, they call it A-level, or maybe they call it something, but anyway, their results, they got their results on 9th of August. But the majority of students, they have A-levels from England and Wales, and the results will be known to them on 18th of August.
Is it worth, if you have A-level results, is it worth calling the university beforehand, saying, look, I'm interested in this degree?
Right.
Would you? What is your expected?
That's absolutely right, and it is a very good idea. And so this is what we have as city. I mean, again, this is just because of an example that. Dr. Ali, do you want to say something, please?
Actually, use of it, check which universities have got places in the year. Because everything's on the 5th of July.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, as Dr. Jafar said, period of work said will not be clear. There's no point wasting your time. You can do your search, do your preparation now, ahead of Thursday. So on Thursday, when you get the results, you know who's in the clearing, which courses, which universities. So remember there are
Yeah.
120 universities.
So if you, for instance, this is just an example from our university. So if you go here, there is a web page for clearing, which will confirm that they are open for clearing. They tell you which subjects are available. And if you choose a particular course, then even they tell you what is or at least you can, so I don't think students will do that. But if it happens that you know the requirement for this particular course from before, and you see that now there is something different. For instance, if it was ABB, maybe now it's BBB. So even that will tell you what are the requirements. And on the day of clearing, you have to have many of these pages already open in front of you, so you know the courses that you are interested in. what are the requirements for them. And this requirement, so they are not going to change it in the morning of Thursday. They need time to do that. So they have already done this. So if you go in the courses, you see what is the actual requirement. You just need to wait for your results to come out and see whether you can now apply for this one. And if you see that your results are okay, let's say my course, the one that I like, let's say Aeronautical Engineering at City University, you are interested in that one, and the requirement now is BBB, A-levels, you got BBB. Next step is that you need to fill in application form. Don't try just to call them, because really that wouldn't be helpful. I can tell you, if someone calls me and say, I haven't done any application, by application I mean application on the university website, not UCAS. UCAS is a different system, okay? So the application here, if you haven't done it, I cannot help you much. It's very unlikely that I will spend time with you filling in an application for you, although it can happen, but definitely not in the morning of Thursday. I'm not going to do it. If someone tells me like this, I said, please just fill in the application and call me back. End of it. So do that, and it shouldn't take a lot of time. Maybe just in 5 minutes you can fill in the application. And when you do that, put whatever information is required. For instance, always put your UCAS ID, date of birth. It's funny why you need date of birth, but if you're below 18 years old, then we have to treat you differently. That's it. Do you have anyone here below 18 years? Okay, so you need to think about it. I don't think they need your parents to talk to them, but if you want to talk to them over the phone, perhaps they will pass you to some special person to talk to, because of these are rules and regulations. So this is why they need your date of birth. Otherwise, this information are anyway available on UCAS. But we need that UCAS personal ID, because we have access to your UCAS system. So we can, if I know this ID, I can quickly go and check to make sure that your results are okay. So this way I can offer you the place much quicker. So again, remember, I don't want to say you're racing against time, whatever. I don't want to make it scary, but you don't want to lose just because you haven't done things properly. And again, if I see two applications, similar applications, but one of them is complete, definitely I'm going to accept that one before trying to call someone and fill in the missing information. Okay? So this is about what will happen on that day. And now for the universities that you are really interested in, first of all, you can register your interest in clearing. That might help. So they have your information already available. You cannot apply for clearing here. And remember, with the clearing, we cannot make any conditional offer. So either is yes or no. Either you got the results, okay, and we can offer you a place, or we say no, we cannot offer you. We cannot give you any extra condition.
Is there also a possibility that you can say, if you repeat your A-levels and you get an A in this, then next year we'll accept you?
Yes, but then what we are going to do, usually we ask them to call us later. We say, okay, next week sometime just call us and we discuss your case. Because again, remember that we as universities, there is a competition between universities. We get the students with the highest grades possible. We don't want to reduce that BBB to something else later on if we don't get the students. So we are not going to discuss this type of cases, especially Thursday morning. Okay, so I never seen a case that we offer the place just by negotiations. If you don't got it, and remember that even if you receive a verbal confirmation from one staff that you say, okay, we can offer you this, that doesn't mean that you got that place, because what will happen, they need to go and check your UCAS record, and then they said that you are released and you are free to accept that offer, and then they add that officially to the system. And that takes time. Maybe you take a day, sometimes even 2 days, depends on the numbers. So just a verbal confirmation doesn't mean that you have got this 100%. So I don't think really there is a lot of room for negotiation, especially if you're marked way below what they require. And again, think about, I like this idea that, when you talk to someone, put yourself on their position for a while and see how they see the whole process. They are not going to offer someone that they are not happy with their mark unless they are desperate or they have to they didn't get what the numbers, and then they will reduce the what they call it, the threshold for accepting the tariff. And for the tariff, so are you familiar with the concept of tariff? You know that? So although all universities, they put it in letters, so not to confuse anyone, but just in case if you're interested to know that, so usually each of these, they have a numeric value. So if they say that the tariff required is 128, you need to look at your grades and see whether if you add these three, you get 128 or 96 or whatever it is. Again, they are not going to change that in the first day. It's very unlikely that they do this university, okay? They leave it for later on, maybe Thursday afternoon or even Friday morning or over the weekend to see if they didn't get the right number, then they change it. So don't waste your time just focusing on one single university. Talk to them if it's a possibility, but look at other options and get as much as this confirmation as possible. Now, are you familiar with this idea of self-releasing and how to change your status on UCAS? So what is, sorry,
Just before you get
yeah,
to
sure,
that.
sure.
The point that Dr. Jafar has just made is probably the most critical. And that is, you don't apply for one, wait for them to come back to you before you apply for them. Apply for as many as you want, and then wait for the results. So that's probably critical.
Yeah,
That's the most
it is.
important.
It is. Don't expect that you receive any confirmation very quickly because of the number of applicants. You might receive just a generic email that say, we have received your application, but it takes time perhaps before you receive the confirmation that, we are happy to give you a place. Now, you have from 8 in the morning till 3 p.m. in the afternoon. You cannot change anything in your UCAS system before 3 p.m. on Thursday. So even if you got an offer from university, you cannot go and change it on UCAS. The system doesn't allow you to do that. So everything will happen, so this is just to increase the confusion here in this process. I don't know why 3 p.m. There is something about it that I think maybe they don't want the student to suddenly change things in the morning. Why? That is related to how UCAS run this. But you can change things from 3 p.m. in the afternoon to make a conditional offer to become firm or to accept a clearing option. When I say accept a clearing option, think about it. That option is not on your system because you didn't add it last year when you applied. So you need to add that manually. I have a few slides here if you want. I can show you. I'm not sure if you're going to remember it from now till Thursday, but I can share this few slides just in case you want to use it on the day. I think it's a good idea to keep all of this handy in front of you. And don't try to memorize things. There is no point of doing it. As long as you know how you are going to do it and what is your strategy, that's what is needed. And by self-release, so what I mean by that, can you see this one? So who knows what is self-release? Do you know what is self-release? No? You know, thanks, Anand. Okay. but I don't think you're not going to do clearing this year.
Oh, no.
No, okay, but you know what is said. It's good. So if you have a conditional, if you have a firm, let's say you got a conditional offer from last year, okay? But now, during the clearing, you got something that you like more and you want to choose that one. The university, I mean, again, here I'm just talking just to make it easier. So let's say you applied to us, City University, and now you want to accept the offer that you get from the clearing. We cannot add that, and we cannot accept that if you don't delete that offer that you have it in the system. Yeah? So it makes sense? Do you think it's rational or is not? No? So if you have an unconditional offer or you have a firm option in your UCAS system, you need to remove that before you can accept anything in the clearing. Okay? To be honest, you don't need to do this by your own. So one of the good things about calling universities, so let's say when you made an application to us, you got the offer, you received an email, and the email asks you that after 3 p.m. on Thursday, you need to go on UCAS system and do these steps. If you think you can do it easily, do it. Otherwise, you can call the university and ask for some help, and usually they offer you that. They cannot do it on your behalf, so this is only you that you can change things on UCAS. They can see what's happening, but only you can change it. But sometimes there are a bit of complex cases that maybe you cannot do it easily, and just ask them to help you with that. But again, this is not for the morning. This is not for the start of the process. This is for later on. You don't need to rush, because usually universities, they give you at least 24 hours, if not more, 48 hours to do that. But sometimes the students are very excited that they got something and they don't want to lose it, and they want to do this first thing when the system is open in the afternoon of Thursday. So if you find any difficulties, I mean, really, it's just a couple of steps, to be honest. It's not a very complicated process that you need to decline the offer that you had from last year, the one that you had before, and then after that, you have to add a clearing choice that you got. In the email that you received from the university that offer you the clearing option, they explain the steps. So I don't think that would be a big problem. But any issue that you have, just call them. Sometimes UCAS system is not responsive, or it doesn't allow you to do something. You can try to call UCAS, but that is very unlikely that you find someone to take you through the process. But with the universities, you have a better chance to ask someone to help you. I have a very long list of what are the different terms, whatever that you use, but really I don't think I'm going to go through this. I can make this all available to you, these slides, and if there is anything that you're not sure about what the terms mean exactly on the day, we can just look at it here. Maybe that is a better way of doing it. Yeah. So, any questions? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Was this self-release similar to...
So, yeah.
Was it similar to adjustment?
No, by the way, we don't have adjustment anymore. Yeah, so adjustment is gone. We used to have till last year, but from 2022 we don't have adjustment. So unless really you want to know what is adjustment, we can just skip that. And we don't have adjustment anymore. It's just cleared. Oh, you want to know what is adjustment? So adjustment is if you get results which are higher than your predicted ones. So the system UCAS was the system on UCAS allows you to make a new choices without going through the clearing process, without calling the universities. But now that system is not in place, so everything should be through clearing. UCAS, I think they offer some extra service on clearing. I'm not sure if that is paid or is free. They call it Clearing Plus. But their idea is, as Dr. Ali says, that always there will be a place for you, really, if you want to do something in university. Sometimes maybe that is not a direct entry, it's through foundation, which you might consider that. So think about it. So instead of repeating A-level, you can go through foundation. So you know what is foundation? Yes? So foundation is you do 1 year before you start the degree. But then there is a guaranteed, that has been guaranteed by university that if you pass, so there is a threshold, depends on the course, maybe it's 50% or 60%. So if you get, let's say, 60% of the marks, then you are going to start the course straight away on the year after. Okay? So you don't need to do A-levels again. But some students, they prefer to repeat the A-levels because it's very unlikely that universities, they change the tariff next year. I can tell you that is very unusual. There is no reason for that. We will have more or less the same number of students next year. The distribution of results is more or less very similar every year. I mean, we had some unusual marks in the past 2 years because of COVID and the way that the exams were organized, or the process of predicting the results. But otherwise, the distribution of marks more or less is always the same. So don't think about it that, okay, I have these results and next year, the same course, same university, they might accept me. This is quite unusual. Do you have anything to add? Yeah. So foundation can be an option. So think about it. So this way, instead of doing 3 years, somehow it will be 4 years. Right.
Just,
Sure. Yeah,
actually,
please.
foundation is always a better option than repeating it because you're guaranteed that entry.
And it happens that you do foundation in one university and maybe you got very good results, and then you can go to another university. This can be an option as well. So we had applicants, and they do it again through clearing, that they say, okay, I have a foundation from Queen Mary, and now I want to come to this course. So that's absolutely fine. It can happen.
Does that happen through clearing?
Yes,
The foundation?
they do it. Yeah, usually they do it through clearing. Yeah, because otherwise, normally you have to just carry on with that university. Yeah, you cannot apply through UCAS. So when you have foundation, you don't apply through UCAS. So the only option then that you're left with is to do it through clearing. Clearing again is not only people, they use it, especially if you have an uncommon qualification. So clearing is the right place to apply, yeah? Because you cannot apply through UCAS. In UCAS, when you apply, most likely that qualification wouldn't be recognized, so university wouldn't give you any place. But clearing is the time to apply for. So foundation always is a good option, really. I would agree that it's better than repeating A-levels. You have already started universities. I think you are. You can receive the loans. This is the same thing. I mean, what they call it? Yeah. You just they treat you like any other university student. Yes, please.
Surely the advantage of retaking A-levels over foundation year is that you'd be £9,000 more in debt for 4 years rather than paying your school the resit fee, which is like, I don't know, 200, whatever it is. That makes much more sense, surely, financially. So, for example, some people may be concerned that I would like to have 3 years of debt rather than 4.
I wouldn't be. Yeah, sure.
I'd only look at the debt as a tax.
Yeah.
If you earn well, you'll be paid an extra 1%. If you don't earn well, or if you work abroad, you'll never.
Yeah.
That is it. It's not like any other debt in your country. So I wouldn't worry about it. of tax. They'll pay tax in anyway. An extra 1% is now their in. That's only if you pay, if you earn above a certain threshold. So that's the advantage. The disadvantage of the A level is that you still carry the same risk.
Yeah.
Because your examinations might not go well, or results all improve that year. Just like what Dr. Jafar just said. Through COVID, all the results appreciate. That means you work really hard, you get the better grades, you're not really better off, but still get this exactly the same grades, on exactly the same course. So you wasted a year.
Yes, please.
I just want to mention on the foundation as well that there are actually many colleges that offer foundation courses.
That's
it's
true.
not necessarily
Including us.
universities. So, and it will be free for that age range as well. And from my experience, I found foundation, it just makes so much more sense. You're already specializing in your field.
Yeah.
Rather than doing A-levels, you might not use A-levels are much more stressful. A foundation is probably more enjoyable.
Yeah.
So if you do have a career prospect where you can do a foundation, it makes much more sense to do the foundation. in my opinion.
I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, foundation, especially if you know what you want to do. Let's say you are interested in, I don't know, aerospace engineering. When you do foundation, it's not only maths and whatever. They will start teaching you things related to what you are going to do in the future. So when you start stage one, year one in university, with other students, usually you can do much better compared to students that just came from A-level. You have the option of colleges, of course. Yeah, a lot of universities, they have some form of agreement with colleges that they do the foundations there. Some universities, they do their own foundations. On the subject of loan, really, as Dr. Ali said, I wouldn't be worried about that. If you are worried about paying that small amount, then perhaps you need to think about it again whether why you want to do the whole university. Because you want to do university, and one outcome of that you should think about a high income, and so paying some extra money as a tax or whatever over so many years. I don't think that would be a big concern. Compared to if you want to do the A-level, so I agree that, okay, you're not going to pay, but again, you need some form of income when you are as a student at university, so you'll have that maintenance cost covered from the loan. So,
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, I've heard that there are actually some foundation programs that don't guarantee that you get it.
so you need to check that. So depends on the ones that we do, they are guaranteed. But there is a threshold. You cannot do the foundation and you get like 30% total mark, and you expect that you progress to stage one. So there is a threshold which is higher than just a pass. Usually depends on the course. So there are courses, for instance, they ask that you need to get 60%. But think about it. You have done A-levels, so the foundation, the level of foundation is not very different from A-levels. We treat that as a stage, what they call it, level 3 courses. So they are not on the level of university, but you cover things which are related to the course that you want to do in the future. But if it is not guaranteed, you need to make sure exactly what are the terms and conditions.
It's not guaranteed, there's no advantage.
Yeah.
I've never come across a
I don't, yeah.
foundation program.
Is not guaranteed.
It's like year zero. Year
Yeah,
one is year
exactly.
one, year two, year three. That's year zero. So it should guarantee, provided you meet the.
Yeah, you have to pass. There is a threshold that you have to, but it's very rare that someone cannot, unless they decide not to. You have done A-level. You got something in A-level. It's not like you failed A-levels, but your marks are not sufficient for this particular course. And even for foundation, there is a tariff needed, and it's not. So, for instance, if a direct entry tariff is 96 points, maybe the foundation is 88. So it's not like we accept you for foundation. Universities, they don't do that. So there is a minimum requirement for entry to foundation anyway. But in my view, I mean, again, this is just my personal view. I think foundation is a better option compared to repeating A-levels. Unless someone says, okay, no, I'm sure that I want to repeat it, and next year I get A star, A star, A star, and I want to do something very different.
In fact, it's rare that it's a good idea to repeat A-levels. Very rare. And I know a lot of students want to repeat A-levels.
Mm.
I would think about it 100 times prior to that.
Yeah, before.
Never a good idea.
More questions? So more practical questions. I mean, so is that, do you think, in terms of the process itself, is it something that you need help in? I would like to help, but as Ali said, I will be very busy on that day dealing with the applications. Otherwise, I would offer my help. But is that anything related to the practicality of the process and what are the steps here, please?
So it says fill in the applications fully and accurately. Is it on the day or can we do it beforehand?
No, it should be in the day, because if you do it before, you don't know what is your results. So what's the point of doing it? You can, for instance, here we have it here a city. You can say, just say your interest. Maybe that would be just, you fill part of the application, but the important part is your grades. You cannot fill them till that day. And please remember that university will see your results, okay? So I don't think it's very rare someone tries to fool them and say, okay, well, I got AAA. But they will see the results, they will check it, and whatever email sent to you, they will say that this is subject to full verification of the results. And so don't think about wasting your time of doing anything unusual here. A lot of universities, they offer even some form of online training. So if you are not very confident that what you are going to do on that day, try to look at this option. There are, so this is a short video. Can I play a video? Is it okay? For 2 minutes?
Yeah, you can. I'm not sure about the sound. You can try.
I will try. So
maybe you can put the microphone in there.
Oh, okay. So this is somehow a summary of how you want to do it in 2 minutes. Really, most cases are very straightforward. You don't need to do something very strange for clearing. And again, this is just because I have access to this one. Otherwise, I could have show you.
The sound is off.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. This is
Worse than expected. You change your mind.
Can you hear it?
Clearing is a great opportunity to get a place at university if your grades are either better or worse than expected, you change your mind about what and where to study, or you haven't previously applied to university. It can feel a little confusing, but don't worry, because here are our clearing essentials to help. 1. Do your research. Check out UCAS and university websites for guidance and courses. Often, universities offer online events you can attend before clearing to find out more information. 2. Know your dates. If you already have your grades, then you can apply through clearing from the 5th of July.
So this is not applicable for you, yeah? So this is for the cases that people, they know that, but you don't know your results till Thursday.
If your exams don't go to plan or you change your mind, you can enter clearing from the 18th of August. If you're a late applicant who hasn't applied through UCAS, but have completed your qualifications and believe you meet the course requirements, you can still apply through clearing. 3. Contact your university of choice. Universities have different ways to inquire about clearing places. The main two are a web form you fill in or number you call. At City, we use a web form, and in most cases, this allows you to get a decision immediately. If you can't get a decision right away, we'll give you a number so you can get in touch. If you receive an offer, you can head straight to UCAS Track and accept your clearing choice. However, if you receive your results on the 18th of August, this option will only be available from 3 p.m. that day. Sounds simple, right? Well, clearing has many aspects, and each case is different. But with these essentials, you're already on your way to securing that place at university.
Right. So really, I mean, it should be simple and straightforward, but if your case is special or requires any further attention, usually the teams at university will deal with that. You don't need to think about that side of complications.
Is there any final questions before we move to the last category? Okay.
Thank you.
Let's do a loud salawat for both Dr. Ali and Dr. Jafar. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So now we just have a few people who can give us, in terms of their experience. You want to sit down?
Assalamu alaikum. There's not too much to say. I think the esteemed doctors have covered everything really well. I just wanted to talk about my experience. I had gotten my firm choice. I got the grades I needed, but I chose to put myself through clearing. But I didn't decide to do that until on the day, so I was quite unprepared. So I suggest you plan ahead and don't do it the way I did on the day. And I actually wasn't aware that I had to decline my initial firm offer. So when I got my preliminary clearing offer with the university, I actually ended up losing my place in a few weeks. So be aware that you do have to withdraw your first firm choice if you've got your firm choice. Try to find out as soon as you can how you need to go about doing that. So be well researched. So I initially applied for biomedical sciences, chose not to do that, and I transferred to maths. I actually ended up not going ahead with that either. But just wanted to share a few things as well about how to be prepared. So make sure you've got like a phone on hand. Ideally, if you can get someone to come with you, that would be great as well. I was really lucky to have my sister with me on the day. So that way I was on hold with one university while she was on hold with another. That essentially cut our waiting time in half. It was great. Otherwise, make sure your phone is fully charged, you've got access to data, all the logistics, make sure they've been sorted out. Make sure you have all of your personal details to hand as soon as you need them. So your UCAS ID, your clearing ID if you've got one, your A-level results or any qualifications that you have, as well as the exam board. They may ask you what exam board you've done. I think that may be it. Try not to talk to too many people on the day because it can be very unnerving to talk to people. So try to be as focused as you can, and then you can talk to your friends afterwards. I don't know, does anyone have any questions for me, or we could allow...
So when you said that you didn't do it till a few weeks, so you didn't change your choices on UCAS, right?
Yes, so what I did was I kept my firm choice,
Right.
and I called Queen Mary University. It was for maths. They gave me a preliminary offer via email, and they didn't make it clear to me that I had to withdraw my offer. There was a bit of a misunderstanding. So in a few weeks' time, I called Queen Mary again, and I said, am I accepted? And they said no. So I lost my maths offer, and then I withdrew my biomedical sciences one because I didn't want to go ahead with it. So I was a little stuck.
So usually universities, when they send the email, they explain it, but here, so this is why maybe it's a good idea to call, just to make sure that what are the next steps that you need to do. Although, I mean that they write what are the steps that you should take. But you call them. When you have that confirmation, then you can call them and discuss it.
What did you end up doing?
So I took a gap year to do A-level further maths. I tried to reapply for maths. I started it, left that now, and now I've applied for medicine.
Oh, you applied.
I'm starting medicine.
Oh, you're starting medicine soon?
Yes, inshallah, in September.
Okay. Sure.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Maths would have been a really, really good choice.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
good
just
choice.
Yeah. Yalla, medicine is okay. We'll say okay. Yalla, but barakallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alihi.
I also had like a weird kind of clearing experience. So I was actually not in the country when I went through clearing. I was in Tanzania. and I was also not prepared at all. I didn't know any of these things that were said right now. Very, very helpful if I knew them beforehand. But so I actually applied for a different course to the one that I had decided I wanted to do. So I had applied for philosophy and politics, but I decided I wanted to do law. So I was also not prepared. I hadn't done any preparation before the day. I decided to leave it all to the day. I thought I'd get my results and then I'd decide what I want to do. But I also got very, very lucky because I also didn't fill out an application or anything. I just called the university. So I had called the university, and the person that I had spoken to was actually very helpful. Like, he helped me fill out the application. He also told me that I needed to cancel my firm offer and accept the offer. Like, he had told me everything. But it was purely out of chance that I got that lucky. So yeah, I would also definitely recommend you guys prepare beforehand. The brother said, doing your applications as well. And also one other thing that helped me decide the order in which to call for my clearing offers was, so I specifically wanted to do law, but I wanted to do a law course that had a lot of modules to do with human rights and social justice. So on the day, which you guys should do beforehand, but on the day I looked at the universities and I looked at the modules, and I decided where I wanted to go based on which universities had the most modules that I wanted to do. So that's also something you guys should look at the course in detail, because a lot of courses are different in different universities. They offer different modules. They have different ways of examination as well. So you can decide the order in which you want to contact the universities based on that. But yeah.
So which university are you at now?
I'm at De Montfort University in Leicester.
Doing law?
Yeah, I'm going into my final year.
Final year?
Yeah.
So on that point of applications, so as you said, maybe you're lucky and someone will help you, but again, you don't want to waste your time. And one practical thing, so if for instance they offer you a different course, just over the phone, say, okay, we cannot give you this one, but there is another course that you might be interested in, or let's say let's do foundation. So usually we can ask them to duplicate your application so you don't need to go and fill another application. And usually they help you with that. Just in case to save some time, if really that is needed. We can ask the person that you're talking to, can you please just help me in doing the application again? And I can say something rude here. If you are not happy with this person that you talk to, just call someone else. Because sometimes they are annoying or you don't understand exactly what they're saying. You should just call them. Maybe next time. It's like customer service.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Ali Haider, as Dr. Ali mentioned. Thank you for the talks and information, very useful. I'm just going to give a little bit about my experience and where I am now. So essentially, I finished A-levels and then I had Surrey University, which was my firm offer, and I missed out on those grades. So I approached clearing. I was with my mum, and she was comforting me. She was very reassuring. She says, fine, okay, let's go inside. Then all my mates were there, and everyone's looking a bit disheveled and a bit, So we said, okay, let's get on with it. We got there. I started ringing. She, like Hassan said, it's helpful to have your mum with you or somebody like that. They ring one uni, you ring one uni. That way, it's much more efficient. And also, everyone has their phone. In their phone, you have the notes app. I think that app is very useful because before you approach clearing, maybe it's not being mentioned, but basically, you should have, people don't mention this, but you're going to be making quick decisions on that day. So you need to know, do you want a campus uni? I'm not talking about grades right now. I'm talking about your experience, because you're going to be spending a good 3 years there. Yeah, you don't want to be there and yeah, I've got the grades. Can I come? They're like, yeah, you can come. And then you're like, oh wait, is this even? I don't even know anything about this uni. Have maybe 10, maybe 15 unis in your notes app, and just have like a little description about them, because then that way you'll say, oh yeah, that's got a city, okay, it's going to have a community, okay, it's going to have this, going to have that. Like for example, I went to Swansea and I did law with criminology, and that was a campus uni, and I don't think I would have survived in a city uni, because I don't like city unis. I like unis that's campus only, students are around, you can go chill, play sports, whatever you want to do. Whereas like when you're at clearing, you're thinking, oh, I've got this grade, that grade, that grade, and the first uni that says you can come, you might become like, not desperate, but you'll become, what's the word? Impulse decision. You'll say yes, but you haven't thought where you're spending 3 years, because you've just flopped and you just thought, okay, I've missed my grades, and you become like confused. So my first advice, in fact only advice, is that you gain a knowledge, gain an understanding of the other unis that are out there. For example, the uni in Leicester, that might be a bit like not campus uni, yeah? The uni Queen Mary, that might be like more like near the city unis, you know, got all the stuff there, everything's nearby. So you need to be aware of this. For example, my sister goes to Warwick and she says it's very isolated to some extent. But she didn't think about that when she's, you know, you didn't think about this because you didn't research it. So you need to research it. For example, I loved Swansea. It was wicked. I think it was a nice place. Got the beach there, everything. I'm sidetracking now, but it's come back to clearing that I rang them up. Surrey said no. I rang Swansea and they said, okay, what have you got? And I think I missed the grades by about 4. It was as if I was like definitely not gonna get it. But I said, look, I got this. And they were asking for A, B, B, so it's far off. But then they said, it's fine, we have space. So don't lose hope, as my second message. Don't lose hope, because you'll find that actually, due to the circumstance, they may have a spot for you. And you might think, oh, but they're asking for A, B, and this and that. Don't worry. You don't ask, you don't get. That's the issue. So you need to make sure your head is straight when you approach clearing. You need to know, okay, I'm going to keep an eye out. Actually, I like Nottingham. I like that one. I like Cardiff. I like this. And then you say, okay, let me ring them first. And then you ring them, and then you get your answers. Have a notepad with you. Have a pen. Be organized. These sort of things. And inshallah, it'll be fine. So that was my experience of clearing. It was kind of stressful, but it was all right, more or less, because you just have to get on with it. You ring them, ask them. So I didn't have Hassan's problem. They just rejected me. They were like, you're not coming here. It wasn't as if I had to go back and that. But bear in mind what Hassan said. That's very important, that you decline that one and then you can move on. So alhamdulillah, I finished at Swansea. Now I'm at University of Law in Moorgate doing my masters. I'm almost finished that. And I really enjoyed uni. So I think inshallah, all the best to all of you, man, doing it.
Can I ask just one more?
Oh yeah, questions please.
Questions, yeah. So when you applied, so did you get more than one offer on the day, or just one and that's it and you stopped?
Actually, that's a good question, because Liverpool, I was on the phone to them and they said, come down and we will give you criminology. And I was like, why would I? No, I was like, no, I want law with criminology, because they said your grades are slightly lower. So instead of offering you law LLB, we can't do that. We can offer you law with criminology, but
they offer you criminology just
not
law with criminology.
No, so because the other uni was saying that, Liverpool was saying that, I said I'm not happy to do that. So in fact, the tables turned. You know, they were trying to ask me to come. I was like, no. So that's what happened there. But on that point, actually, be a bit flexible. Because, for example, I think I actually started with law and American studies, and then after a month at Swansea, I was like, this is nonsense. And then I just moved to law and criminology. Likewise, for example, you might be applying for straight law, and you come to clearing, and you're thinking, oh, I want to do straight law. No, be flexible. What's this? What's law with that? Okay, because it's 75%, so that's the major, and then it's 25%. That way, there may be a course for you, and it's a little bit different, but it's good enough. Like it may serve to your interest as well. So that's the answer to that question, really. Are there any more questions?
Okay, well, thank you, Brother Ali, with the loud salawat ala Muhammad wa alihi.
I'm going to be a little bit spontaneous with my thoughts here. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My experience might be a little bit outdated. So we're talking 17, 18 years ago. So by all means, all the stuff that you, Dr. Ali, and Jafar mentioned, they're no longer relevant. I was talking to Ali, as you guys were presenting, by no means we've experienced the same level of stringent processes in place. It was just a matter of picking up the phone and they gave you an offer and that's it. Immediately I would have got a letter on a letter-headed paper, offer accepted. But I guess I just wanted to give you some insights. When you approach clearing, you need to have a clear mind. Okay, so as a typical Iraqi family, I wanted to do medicine. Yeah, so I blindly wanted to do medicine. Change of heart. Let's do pharmacy. So application submitted, offer accepted. I think it was School of Pharmacy at the time. Clearance came on. I happened to have a chat after the 18th, the equivalent of 18th this week. I don't know when it was, some 17, 18 years ago. I had a chat and that person really shifted my mindset in terms of wanting to do something completely different to what I envisaged to do, and that was civil engineering. Okay, so a complete shift. But I guess what I want to highlight is please use this as an opportunity to think about what you want to do. Always remember that you are going to do something for the next 3 years in terms of studying, but you're going to live, yeah, for the next 40 years. You have to enjoy what you're doing. So in terms of relating it back to the clearing process, I picked up the phone. It was really late into the process. I was so determined not to do pharmacy because I knew I did not like it. I kind of was following the social norm at the time, okay? Picked up the phone to all the good universities that I wanted to go to. Again, that was an expectation I had in mind. Absolutely everywhere was filled up, no hope, okay? And that was sort of I wanted to stay, I think the other brother at the back, I forgot your name. So you mentioned in terms of researching and knowing the location there, or the community, campus, whatever. I wanted to stick to London, as some sisters may choose to do so, having sort of had that experience talking to them in the past. All universities were filled up, so then I had to make this tough decision of going outside of London. Guess what? All the good unis outside of London, by the time I had applied, were filled up. So I went to a university, and there's a lesson in this, and don't lose hope, basically. I applied to a university, which was Bradford University. Called them, they said, yes, we've got a place. Except that was my only choice at the time. But of course, in the back of my mind, I wasn't happy. No disrespect to universities, but then we all have, if you like, interests, preferences in terms of what we want to do. My choice was somewhere more reasonable in terms of the ranking, etc. So alhamdulillah, did my first year at Bradford, sort of year one, and then come summer, as soon as I got my results, I said, I want to go to the university that I really aspire to go to, okay? City University. I called them. Sometimes you have to have that audacity. Don't have shame. Just pick up the phone and have that sales pitch. Beg for it. If it really means a lot to you, go for it. Yeah? Pick up the phone. And again, your brother, you said the expectation was ABB, but you had lower, they accepted it. You went for it. I had that chat with the admissions tutor at City. He said, that's fine. My expectation was that I will be accepted at City to rejoin year one, which is the norm, and correct me if I'm wrong. What they did was, they said, no, we will accept you onto year two. Okay? So don't give up. I guess the moral of the story is, there is no one way around this. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that may not be the case in this day and age, given the increased number of competition or number of applicants. But the idea is, do it, apply, you might get it.
It still happens.
It will still happen. They have
Exactly.
call it direct entry to a stage 2.
Exactly, yes.
But then they look at your results in year 1.
Exactly.
Whatever you did it. And
Exactly.
you got good results. So this can, again, be an option. That you do something in year 1, you should aim for very high results. And then next summer you do clearing again. with the hope that you start in stage 2, they don't send you back to stage 2.
Exactly.
So this option is.
And then when I got my bachelor's honors degree, it had no results for year 1. It's as if I've never done year 1. It was like I was a ghost student, and I just suddenly went to year 2, and I was lucky enough to do a sandwich year. But things worked out, and I did my master's, and I did my doctorate afterwards. It's not like I've compromised my future. No, the very opposite. It was a conscious decision, and I went for it. And I am lucky to have had the support of few individuals. Yeah, the choice about go for the foundation year, definitely go for the foundation year. Don't waste your time with A-levels. The foundation year will give you exposure to the topic of interest. Okay? Now, perhaps this might be, forgive me, this is not directly related to clearing. Yourselves, the friends that you know who are going through clearing, please make sure you do something that you enjoy. Yeah? Don't do something for the sake of doing it because the social norm dictates. Yeah? You still have the opportunity. I came to this conclusion way into the clearing process when doors were shut. You have all the options. Yeah? So if for instance you never considered engineering, this is your chance. If you're doing engineering but you want to do medicine, you might get into biomedical science and then get into medicine in the following year if your results are well. And I know a lot of examples from our youth, well, so my age group, who have done similar approach. Happy to answer any questions.
Really, really good example. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Even though you spent 1 year there, did you mind that it was a different environment to what you expected inside London?
So I relate it back to Dr. Ali or Jafar, one of you mentioned, you need to be agile. Yeah? You have to be flexible. Alhamdulillah, Bradford has got a strong sort of Shia community. We managed to do a lot of extracurricular side activities. Let's not get into too much detail. But, you know, عَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَخَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. A lot of benefits came out of it. Yeah? So met a lot of new friends, lifelong friends. The community was good. Now, if you told me perhaps if the offer was from Aberdeen or some odd university high up in Scotland or a remote location in England, I may have reconsidered my options. Yeah? But again, that goes back to having some idea of what you want. Yes? Can you cope in an environment that doesn't have a community? Because don't forget, you're going to be spending some good years there. Don't forget, you might not get what I have got in terms of 1 year, first year, and then transfer direct entry to second year. You might get stuck there. I know people that transferred from second year to third year with some conditions because the results were really well. I've heard of that as well. But then do your research. Very good suggestion by one of the brothers. Have a list of 15 universities. If your focus is on London, perhaps have a list of universities outside of London. Don't let sort of all doors close on you on if you like on Thursday, and then you find that all London universities are out of reach, and then suddenly you find yourself, oh, am I going to go to Leicester? Am I going to go to Devonford? Am I going to go to Loughborough? Whatever. Yeah. So have a list. So for knowledge, again, this is me, sort of a sales pitch. I did my bachelor's at City, and I did my master's and, if you like, doctorate at Loughborough University. Loughborough University, at your age right now, I highly doubt that you've even heard of it. There are a lot of specialized universities around that you need to do some good research on to find out. Loughborough is specialized in project management, in construction management. This is what my focus is on, okay? So I didn't know it at the time. I didn't even have it as a choice to call them. Funny enough, I told you I called all universities. Loughborough was not even on my radar. But then now that I am in the zone, I know Loughborough is one of the highly respected institutions when it comes to sports engineering, when it comes to construction and architecture. Again, do your research. The return on investment is likely to be very high. Yeah? Any more questions? No?
We thank
Okay, thank
Dr.
you.
Muhammad with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And of course Yusuf as well. Ahsant, thank you. No need. Barakallah feek. Okay, so I think we've had a very good, productive session, alhamdulillah. I think for those of you who have attended and for those online, inshallah, who will watch this, I think they will take very useful, beneficial points forward, inshallah. And this is not just for people who are waiting results on Thursday. This is for others as well, inshallah, for the future. And I think one thing, there was a lot of information, but there's one thing that was very, very clear from the two esteemed guests and from the people who spoke about their experience, is you do your research well. I think that kept on coming back. And so make sure you do your research well. Honestly, if I had such information before when I went through clearing, it would have been amazing, really. But this is it. Now we're in 2022. My time was 98, so 24 years ago. But there we go. Alhamdulillah, we've got people who can help us. We've got people who can advise us in our community to try to, inshallah, choose your best career path, inshallah. And finally, of course, tawakkalu ala Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there with you. He will help you. You're all mu'mineen, inshallah. These are all very important steps. But at the end of the day, as Brother Muhammad said as well, وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. Maybe you don't get the grades that you want, but eventually you will go and take that particular degree that you will enjoy at the end. And it did happen with me. I didn't get the grades that I really wanted, so I didn't do the degree that I wanted. But then it took me a different route, and I'm very happy with that route, alhamdulillah. So we got to see the future and trust Allah in what decision He will make for us. Yes? So inshallah, you will make the right decision, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you all the success in this life and the next, inshallah. I want to sincerely thank Dr. Ali Hadawi for his wonderful contribution, and of course Dr. Jafar Al-Zaili as well. Both have given us really valuable information, and I want to really thank all the people who contributed, gave their experience, and thank you for attending today in this seminar. And inshallah, we come together as a community to help each other. These are moments where anyone wants advice, anyone wants anything. We have people in the community who can provide these help. So it's just bringing the stage where there is an opportunity. And at Dar al-Islam, inshallah, we're trying to work to provide services, to try to really help people, the students, the elders, etc., whatever the help they need. So inshallah, with your support, we can do more and more of these seminars, inshallah. There is very light refreshments and tea and biscuits at the back, so please help yourselves. Thank you so much, everyone. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.